Greetings, loyalists and heretics. Welcome to Iron and Ceramite, where we once again enter the warp without an astropath.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Iron and Ceramite podcast. My name is John and this week I'm joined by Glenn.
Hello.
Dave.
Hello.
And Shane.
Hello.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Very well.
Very good. I've been sitting in exactly the same position in the same clothes all week waiting for this podcast.
You're that excited to talk
about it? Yeah, absolutely.
Buzzing for it. Yeah. I know.
Straight onto Blood Bowl.
Yeah. If you missed last week's update, Dave has now committed to Blood Bowl despite protesting. It took him a whole 2 minutes, but he's in.
No, we were at him for like the full week.
Oh yeah, full week. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me.
The amount of time
A week and 2 minutes.
Yeah. However long it takes you to go for a piss, that's how long it takes for Dave to break his "I'm not doing it," and he's in. But we're not going to talk too much more about Blood Bowl, I don't think, for the time being, because we've had a lot of updates in the 40k universe, a new war zone and points and this, that, and the other. So should we dive right in? And I'm going to defer to you guys who probably know what's going on, because I don't. And we'll start with the new mission pack that's come out.
Yeah, so part of the like GW now, they're obviously doing seasons effectively. So every sort of 6 months or so, you get the new war zone. Obviously, we had what was it? It was Octarius first, and then Nakmund last, and now it's Nephilim. And we've moved on from what was described as, I think it was Fat Abaddon on the cover of Nakmund to the Necrons in Nephilim. And again, it's just the chapter approved grand tournament pack. A lot has already been talked about it online, and I think actually what's quite interesting is GW kind of listened to a lot of it. So this time round, if you buy it, instead of getting what they used to do was 2 different packs, which would be the grand tournament pack, which is your missions, and then you would get the field manual, which is all your points changes. We'll come into the field manual later, but they've made the field manual entirely digital this time and given it away, which is very nice. But they brought the rules back to the grand tournament pack. So whereas in Nakmund it was a bit of a pamphlet, there was missing a lot of stuff. You'd only really buy it for the new missions. This time around they've got the missions and all that good stuff, but they've also put in the rules. So if you're going to tournaments, if you're playing tournaments, you don't want to drag, your huge rule book around with you. You can now buy this and it'll have all the rules in there as well. So that's quite nice. I think that was good that they've gone back to doing that.
I thought that was one of the best things Games Workshop has done in a long, long time, is consolidate everything into a book.
Yeah.
Because like you say, it's one of the things that people complain about most is, going to a tournament, right, I need to take the codex, I need to take the rule book, I need to take this book. For them to consolidate at least a couple of books worth of stuff into one book is very sensible.
Yeah. So it definitely makes this much better value than the Nakmund variation, I think. I think it's nice they've given away the Munitorum field manual for free this time around as well, which is good. But there's been a few changes to the rules as well if you play using the Nephilim Grand Tournament setup. Like I know they've changed some of the secondaries. One of the rules is you can now pick any number of. So whereas before you were limited to say you can pick one secondary from your codex, and then everything else had to be from the main book. You can now pick any number of secondaries from your codex. Ooh. And that could be from your. So for me, I could pick one from the Space Wolves book, one from the Space Marine book, and one from the core secondaries, as long as they're all in separate, sections, the separate sections. Now you're not limited, so you don't have to. You can pick them all from one book. You can pick them from multiple books. It's up to you now.
Oh, nice.
So that's a new change.
And they've put in secondaries for the older codexes that haven't got them in their codex as well. So I think it's the Guard, Demons, and Chaos. About the only books that haven't got them, but obviously Chaos coming out next week anyway. So, or last week, whatever we send this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that the Marines can choose between their own codex and the Space Marine codex.
Yeah, I felt that was a little bit much.
That gives you a bit too much choice in my mind, but yeah.
Well, I think it comes down to like Tempest of War versus like your grand tournament. Your grand tournament, you're building a list tooled up to specifically go after, really specific secondaries that don't change. So you build a list to go after that, and that's fine if you're that type of tournament player. Whereas if you just want something that's a bit more, balanced is the wrong term, but like spontaneous, and you just want to build a generalist list, Tempest of War's got you covered in that regard as well.
Yeah.
What was the other change that was quite interesting? The change to CP if you're playing this. So you effectively at the start of the game, you get half the CP you would normally get. So they've reduced the number of command points you actually get at the beginning of the game. But then in each command phase, so yours and your opponent's, you both get 1 CP. So whereas today, or last week, should I say, John, when you were playing against Tom, at the start of your turn, you would have got 1 of your command points. Now, if you were playing under these rules, the Grand Tournament rules, you and Tom would both get a command point. So the idea there is that you don't have all your command points at the beginning, so you can't alpha strike or blow through all of your command points and stratagems in the first couple of turns. It's almost you've got to play them as the game goes, which I actually think is quite an interesting change. I don't mind it. I think it sounds quite interesting. It'd be interesting to play it and see how that worked.
You also have to pay points for your warlord traits and your relics now as well.
That is true. Yeah,
for the first one. So yeah, we're starting a game now with 6 points as opposed to 12.
Yeah,
it's going to be a difficult choice for some people, because I know people like Dave and Tom in particular like to stack a load of points onto extra warlord traits and relics. Well, Tom specifically for that goddamn apothecary. So we'll have to see if it's going to affect, how it's going to affect, because personally it doesn't really bother me, because I rarely spent a lot to start with. And it's a little weird that you'll gain a CP in a turn when you won't technically be able to spend it.
I think the idea was that you might
you're gonna have I know there's some stratagems in some of the codex that are quite defensive. It's like you use this in your opponent's turn, so you'll always have that maybe 1 CP left as a little. But a lot of them in that sort of category are very situational.
Yeah, it will. Again,
I think with the warlord traits, I think that it's going to mean that named characters make a big comeback, especially for me, because I do not think that I'll use my marshal now.
But do they get their warlord trait for free?
Hellbreak.
I don't think they do. No, that's what I was going to say. So, there was one of the big bits of contention was that even though in the new codex, the new Chaos Codex, Abaddon's I think he gets 3 warlord traits, and it's well, if you were fielding him under a grand tournament, he's going to cost you 3 CP to take, and it's okay, maybe they haven't thought about that. But,
maybe that would change. But I think that they're worth doing it anyway. I mean, Grimaldus now with the change to assassinate is done by unit rather than model now, so he's no longer a 12-point fucking assassination target on for his unit. It just goes down to the 3. So I'll definitely be bringing him a lot more. And I think especially with certain named characters, their skills are now sort of well worth taking when you consider the CP cost and all the other bits and bobs that have been added on. So I think that's going to change.
I think, again, it all depends on how you want to play, because I've watched a couple of videos on it from other creators as well, that you know, as I said, you don't have to play the Warzone Nephilim rules. You could still play Nachmund, you could still play Octarius, you could just play straight out the book, or Tempest, or Open War. So if anything, GW are just giving us more ways to play. It's just interesting from a tournament scene how it's developed. To, you know, their attempts to, I suppose, balance it to a degree is putting it this way, which I think it probably will do. I think there will be a bit to it that I think it will work quite well.
Yeah, I think
agree.
Across a lot of the stuff that you've been watching, Shane, is probably similar to this thing. But I think across a lot, apart from the CP restriction, there's a lot in this book that everyone's sort of gone, okay, I don't mind that. I can live with that. You know, I think it's just like I say, it's having that Death Star Hero Hammer kind of unit that they've dumped a load of points into. There'll be a choice of taking that and then starting with nothing, or, you know, cutting it back a little bit and still having something to play with as you go through the game.
What do you think, John?
I'm just confused. It changes too often. I'm just trying to register what you guys are saying.
You'll be pleased to hear that I've actually bought this book. I'm waiting for it to arrive. So I will, as per last time, I will share all of the details with.
Only about 17 quid, isn't it?
16.
16
if you go to Element Games and use our affiliate link.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll have to, you'll have to share, and I'll have to look for it, because it's just like,
as I said,
so much changed.
I said I really like Tempest of War at the moment. That's my favorite way to play. So even though I bought it, I don't know whether I'll play much with this, because I really like the way Tempest plays.
Well, it'd be no bad thing to have to flick through the actual updated rules thing as well.
Yeah,
because obviously that's where the FAQs have been tweaked and changed. I'm assuming will have been reprinted and changed in the book. They haven't just copy and pasted the old rules and put them in there, just going, oh, you want the rules? There you go. Oh, by the way, you still need the FAQs separate.
Yeah.
Really hoping they've actually made changes.
Now you've said it, I hope so as
well. But, now that I've said it, I'm sort of going, not 100% convinced they will have, but
but I just find it hard to keep up, because they keep releasing things like online, so like the balance data slate and then all the points in there. So are these included in this book, or is this different, or?
So the balance data slate and the points changes. So the points changes are always released at the same time as the grand tournament element anyway, and it's all part of their 6-month cycle. So this is going to happen every 6 months. I think the data slate is every quarter though.
But the last points change wasn't 6 months ago, surely.
I think it was with Nachmund.
Yeah,
it was really that long.
Yeah, because it was right at the start of the year. It was sort of just after Christmas time.
Bloody
that's what I mean. It seems like it changes quickly, but it does. But
life just goes on.
6 months, disappears before you know it.
All right. I've been moaning about 6 point Poxwalkers longer than I remember. Then I didn't think it'd been that long. Yeah.
It has for us.
Definitely has.
It has for us.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I mean, maybe it's because we don't get to play as much as we want, but I just feel like every time we record, we're looking at a new bloody rule book.
I think, as I said, this is designed for those that, they like to play. It's designed for the people that play competitive, that do go to tournaments, that do go to their local hobby clubs weekly, that will have weekly and more games. And that's fine. And I think it will be really good for them. I think, I've got it for us if we ever want to give it a go. It's there if we ever want to change. As I said, or we've got Tempest, or we've got Open War, or we've got just the core book itself. So there's, as I said, for the casual player, it's more take it or leave it. But at least this time for the casual player, I think it's more valid. It's worth more. I say worth more. It's more value for your money than Nachmund was, which I think was not really worth it.
Yeah. Like you say, I suppose if you are getting the games in, it's worth it. I'm glad you've pulled it. But...
I mean, someone like Dave, for example, who doesn't have a rule book.
Yeah.
This is a cheap way of getting the rules.
Very cheap, seems as though you got it and you'll send me some pictures.
Exactly, yeah, that as well. But yeah.
But do you prefer the way they do it now, where they've started doing these frequent updates? Is that new, or they never used to do it like this often? So do you think it's better? Is it better for the game, do you think?
I think it's probably better for the tournament game, like for the competitive game. But as I said, for casual players, you can just take it or leave it. So you just got to, like, I would honestly, if from your point of view, John, I wouldn't worry about it. Like it's not something that you necessarily need to worry about or pay too much attention to.
You're never going to be a competitive player, mate.
The only thing that makes a big difference for like the casuals is the points changes.
Yeah.
Because obviously they normally go hand in hand with this book. And that's not something they used to do either. Like you'd be lucky to get an FAQ for a codex sometimes, whereas now they can look at things and go, okay, that was undercosted, that was overcosted, and they can fix that without waiting 5-6 years before your codex gets a redo. So that side of it is really, really good. And I think it's good to just refresh the game as and when it needs tweaking for the competitive side, but like you say, leave it for anyone that's a bit more casual. You can play that, you don't have to. So
I agree. Like, the thing is, if you're playing week in, week out, it must be really nice to get some new, fresh sort of rules and things to get your head around and different ways to play. I think that if you kept doing the same thing over and over, although you fucking would really get your tactics good, you must get a bit dull. So I think changing up is definitely a good idea.
That's why the things like playing with the cards, the Tempest stuff is good. It mixes it up. Same with the Maelstrom in the previous editions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's still only so many things you can do by putting little squads of plastic soldiers on a rectangular table. You could play every day. You will get to a finite point where you've literally played every combination of everything. And then that's when you have to start looking at sort of your more narrative campaign-based stuff.
Yeah. If
you really want to change, or if you really don't care about like the competitive side and just want to have a bit of a fuck around, you do the narrative side of stuff and don't worry too much about the competitive element.
If you get that bored, you could do what Dave's doing and start a Blood Bowl team.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That he's roping everyone else into.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah. Trendsetter. Cool. Then I'll put in the balance data slate as well.
Yep.
But I feel like this has already been released exactly the same. Unless there's anything different you've picked up on.
No. Well, not from my point of view. I think it's just little. This time round, this data slate doesn't feel anywhere near as seismic as other ones.
No.
It's just they've been tweaking a few different bits and pieces and different codexes. Like, this one
Armor of Contempt.
I was going to say,
yeah,
this is the one that does include Armor of Contempt. Yeah, no, that's massive.
Yeah.
And they gave it to the guard as well, didn't they?
Yep, all guard vehicles.
Which is
Astromilitarum vehicles, Astartes, Heretics, Santic, Sororitas. Yeah, a lot of stuff. As a Space Wolves player, fine, great, that's excellent. Thanks for that. As a Necron player, I hate this rule because it's made things really difficult for Necron.
Yeah, but the Necron's got a buttload of stuff in this as well.
Every data slate, the Necrons get loads of stuff because they are really suffering from early codex.
Yeah.
And so I think now pretty much almost all Necron units now are classed as core because
all the vehicles got it this time.
Yeah, so so that basically you can give all of the everything, the buffs that your warlord will dish out, because they're, there's nowhere else for them to go right now. They are struggling a little bit in terms of competitiveness, and it's just because it's that they're a bit of a they've got loads of mad rules. But they're okay. Like, as I said, like they're good. They're good fun to play with. They're just very, very, very difficult to win with.
Yeah. I was looking through the codex today, funnily enough, as I was building some.
Yeah.
Thinking about how I'm going to build them. I was just looking at some of them. They are a bit.
Yeah, as I said,
out there.
Really, really good fun. There's loads. I think it's probably one of those armies where you have to remember loads more than a lot of other armies at the moment. And like as I said, some of it is just a bit bonkers. But as I said, they're a fun army as long as you're playing the game for playing, as opposed to wanting to play it to win. Because they are, if you can build lists to win, of course, with a lot of armies. But I think the Necron army, if you're building it to win, becomes quite boring, because it's a bit like when you get like Dreadnought spam, which was a meta for Space Marines for ages. You have to think about it like that if you really want to win with Necrons at a competitive level. But they're cheaper. Like, you can still run your big blobs of Necron warriors. That's the shame of it, is Armor of Contempt has made that running massive units of Necron warriors kind of redundant against a Marine army, because they can't do any damage to them. They're crap in combat, and they don't have any armor penetration anymore.
You're not just thinking of even more warriors, even more dice, more field saves.
I did think that. Yeah, I did think that. I think it's what I've seen online is a lot of people going leaning more into the melee stuff. So the Lich Guard.
And Raves as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so actually going more down the trying to go more down the melee Necron route, and you still have warriors or immortals, but they're not there for fire output. They're there to hold objectives, and then everything else is like destroyers, wraiths, Lich Guard, stuff like that.
Old shard in there as well.
A lot of players still don't get a lot of shard on tabletop. Really, you get a lot more of the barges.
They're massive though, aren't they?
You might be thinking of the, what's it called? Not the obelisk.
Monolith.
The vault. Yeah, the monolith.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
But you get a few of those. I mean, they've changed in points as well, because I said they're not getting much play. But you get a lot of the Doom barge, I think it is.
Yeah, I want to get a Doom barge.
Yeah, you get a couple of them on the tabletop, and then go from there.
And the Ghost Arcs as well.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a tough army to play at the moment. It's fun, but it's quite mentally draining.
I've heard, like, from a Facebook group that I'm on for Necrons. I think that they're very, very optimistic about this and the points and the data slate. So hopefully, they obviously know a lot more than I do. I'm sort of like nodding along, like, yeah, it's really good. But hopefully, they do become a bit more competitive. Because it'd be nice. I think the Necron should be. The Necron should always be way up there. In my opinion.
Nearly everything being core and reduction in points means it will make them more competitive than they are right now.
Yeah. And the Necrons, whenever they redid the whole thing, the Necrons were supposed to be the new big bad. They were supposed to be the scary army.
Yeah.
And they weren't really even that bad to start with. But like Shane said, they were one of the early armies, so they're lagging quite far behind. And this is this is the second update on the bunch where the Necrons have got quite a hefty boost and they're still sort of like,
Yeah, a few of the armies it's kind of bounced around. Like they like in the last update they added some things. On this one they've taken those things away because they've gone, no, it wasn't quite balanced. Whereas the Necrons consecutively now have been like, nope, you can have more. That costs less. Everything's core.
Yeah, because with my AdMech, they ripped the shit out of him with the last one, and basically with this one they've gone, all that stuff we changed, you can have it back.
Yeah,
they've gone back on almost everything. They've tweaked my favorite stratagem where I was hitting on 4s for auto wounds is now 5s, but it's only 1 CP no matter how many is in the unit shooting it, so that's gone back slightly to what it was. Little minor changes. So I think
that's horrible,
me,
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. For me, this probably has the biggest impact because I have the most armies. So I've tried to look across, as much as possible and pick out like the good things for my side of stuff. Obviously, there's nothing for chaos. They didn't change anything because the new codex hasn't really dropped. Yes, hopefully by the time this video comes out, I will have my codex in my hand. But
then the Vaseline will be justified.
But there's a lot of good things across the whole update. There's not much change for the Tyranids other than the massive points total, and your Hive Tyrant has to be a Warlord, which is fair enough. I mean, you should be, but there's certain Warlord traits that you might want on other things, and now you have to pay for the first Warlord trait. It would then be having to pay additionally to get the additional Warlord trait to then get a second Warlord trait on something else. So not the best for the Tyranids, but I can live with it.
Still put out a good rate of firepower there. It's still a horrible army to go against, especially if you've got no scenery on the table.
Yes. You're still bitter about that, are you, John?
No, I'm never bitter. I just don't like losing, but I don't get bitter about it.
Did anything actually change for the Death Guard?
Only that. Well,
I know they have an entry, but is that
got OBSEC now? So that's nice.
Did they not get that in the last one? I thought
they
got that in the last one. Yeah,
they did. But
so that's just the same.
They didn't take it away from me. That's all I'll put.
Yeah,
I'm clinging on to that.
It's like all Chaos Terminators now.
Yeah, brilliant. They give me fucking level pegging. No extra goods. Just brought me up to where everyone else is. But I'll take that. It's good.
Power taking a bit of a hit as well, but
good.
I think now that's needed. So
yeah.
So what is it that's affected you the most from what you can work out?
Excuse me. It's just adding on a couple of extra things. So the Montcar ability was overpowered, so they've tweaked that again. And then taken away the core for the broadsides. Yeah. Which again, I can understand it because you just plonk that on a fucking ejectig and just let it ping off shots for the whole game. And there was another one. I think it's just making one of their stratagems. The photo on the stratagems that I've got that are -2 to charge.
Yeah.
I think that if they've got any other modifiers, then it's not cumulative.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah. So they're relatively minor things, but I think there's been a couple of tweaks in the last one as well. But again, I think they are one of the more powerful factions. So I'm not going to moan too much.
What else is there? You got the AdMech and the Guard. They're the only two other armies you play, Glenn, aren't they? And the Sisters are up there. Anything good there for you or bad there for you if you ever play?
Like I say, Armor Contempt on the the guard vehicles, ignoring modifiers on barrage, but that was also on the previous one. So
did you used to with the sisters? Was the miracle dice every turn?
I can't remember.
Or was it on when a unit died or when you killed it?
I think there was certain not categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's certain things that had to occur that made a difference to your miracle dice, I think.
Now you get one. Now you get one at the start of each turn.
I think they're yeah, a little bit of a change, but it's not an army that I use regularly. Yeah, it's not one that I really look too much at, because I think I'd only played one game with the sisters with the new codex, and I went, oh, a shiny thing now, because I didn't learn them in any great depth. So yeah.
Oh. And then it's just all the points. So I just went through and looked at all the armies I know that we have, and if anybody wants to pick out anything particular, then pick it out. If not, I'll keep going.
Crusader squads have got less expensive.
We're not at Black Templars yet. God damn it.
Okay, I'll shut up then. Sorry.
No, hang on.
Come back to me.
I'll get there. Hang on. There you go. Black Templars. Did Crusader squads benefit from anything by any chance, Dave?
Funny you say that, because they did actually. Basically no extra points for pyroblasters or power fists, and no extras for pyro pistols on the sword brethren as well. So that was a good thing that I saw. Yeah.
What do you mean no extra points?
I think overall, I think we've done right. So usually a pyro pistol would be +5.
Yeah.
And then power fists were extra points.
Yeah, pyro fist +10 points.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, battle thing, and it's gone down.
What? Yeah, it's not. This is the latest one on the Crusader squad.
Oh well, you fucking ruined my life. So
I think that's the only thing I'd say with the points update is they just tell you what the points are in the update. They don't tell you what's changed. So you have to either go through it all and compare it to your codex, or like hope that one of the apps you use to build your lists is updated, which is at the moment a bit up in the air.
So that's because I saw it on, and again, another bloody Facebook group that I'm on. I saw it was on there, so I went and looked on Battlescribe, and it all changed.
I find it so hard.
Yeah,
to follow people on Facebook, because everyone's arguing all the time. You can't tell what's fact.
A pyre blaster is
so what would
originally?
Again, I don't know what that was before.
That's what I mean. It might have been
you codex in front of me.
You have to go back to your. It might have been 10 points before, because that's.
But I'm sure, because I was putting in because I swapped it from normal intercessors to the power fist, and the points didn't change. So I'm just not going to update Battlescribe until
you're right.
It's on next week.
There's some videos that I've watched where they have said like certain weapons just get thrown in for free. Like I think they did that with the Plague Marines, right?
Yeah, they did, and that's fact.
And so they've done it across a lot of units where they've gone rather than give them other buffs or stuff like that. They've just gone, do you know what? You can have the weapons for free.
Yeah.
And so
that's probably what it means. So obviously, if you look at that, the unit cost, other models, 19. So neophytes are 16, and no matter what you've equipped your initiates with, other than the pyre blaster, will be 19. So I think it's just the fists, and So perhaps I got the wrong end of the stick of that, but
it seems likely.
I've only got my power fist painted anyway, so it's fine.
Space Wolves? Anything stand out for you, Shane? Did you notice, or is it all pretty much?
Not really. It's all fairly similar. I think the big bits were like what's interesting is actually things like I don't know if it's in there actually.
You have got another page.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it's things like sky claws have become a bit more interesting again, because again you get a load of weapons thrown in without additional cost or as much cost. So you can just bounce around a load of effectively jump pack assault marines for a bit cheaper than you would have done before. I don't think it really changes much with any of the other bits and pieces, though. Not much. To be honest, it was the last points change that was better for the Wolves. This time they've just kept things as they were. There were a couple of points reductions on some of the characters. So Arjak Rockfist came down.
No.
I don't know if did Niall lose any points? I don't think he did.
That's a shame.
140 now. What was he before?
Yeah, no, I think he stayed the same. But like Arjak lost 10 points. There's small changes. So when I looked at my list, I think I'd saved about 13 points or something on the 2,000 point list I'd wrote, and all of that was the reduction in cost of the weapons that I was running. So it's not a huge amount of change really to the Space Wolves. Nothing that's going to change how I'm going to build a list. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. I'll quickly go back. Just I don't know, any of those Marines take anyone's fancy? I don't know.
Old Bobby G, Rabute Gilliman's come down in points.
Oh, has he? What was he before? Do you know?
I can't tell you what he was before. It might have been 340, but I know he's come down. That's all.
I think the Repulsor Executioner's come down in points as well.
I think you're right. I think it did. Yeah, that's for the Space Marines points rather than any chapter.
Yeah, just bear that in mind, John.
But well, okay. Oh, no, it's coming then.
Oh, and actually, the Predators have changed points as well. But
yeah, bear that in mind as well.
They're not as good as Chaos Predators, which have got toughness 8 apparently.
Hooray!
Need to get me one of those.
Not available for Death Guard.
What else is there? Sisters, Glenn, anything? I know you don't play them too often.
Again, it's not something I'll look too in depth at the Sisters, because it's not. I've got no intention of adding to the Sisters, really. So yeah, I was just sort of stuff's changed. It might be different the next time I get them out of the box, but not too worried about them.
The Assassins and the Guard, anything there?
No, Assassins haven't changed. All Assassins are 100 points. They have been
for a long time.
Yeah, fair enough.
This was another one where it's a lot of like the free weapon upgrades for the Guard. So basically, your basic squads, you're getting all your funky stuff on like the sergeants and stuff for no cost.
Loads more for the Guard there. More for the Guard. Admech.
Pretty much the same as last time. It was mostly just the going back on the rules from the previous update. I don't think there's too much of the points have changed. I haven't compared it to an old list, but like just initially looking at it, thinking that all looks around about the same to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Chaos Space Marines. Did you take a look at those?
I didn't see a point in looking at this at all.
Why is that?
Because the new codex is coming out in like days, literally days from when they released this. So yeah, I just thought, what's the point? So yeah, I just didn't bother.
They changed their name to Legionaries. I've seen that a lot recently. Or if I just missed it, that's what they've been called.
That's what they've been called in the previous codex as well. Hang on a minute. That's the points totals of the new stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's a cursed cultists and they're not in the old codex.
Yeah.
That's the points totals of the new ones.
Yeah.
Ooh, so that is worth having a look at then. I'll have a look at that whenever we do that. come off.
It would surprise me that they would release this game before your codex come out and then be like, oh, actually, it's different. So it'd be interesting to see if your codex is out of date by the time you get it.
It is typical Games Workshop thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's quite interesting.
I can't see because they got a thing in there that they were gonna. I was looking at the Terminators, because I watched. I'm sure I watched Battle Report the other day, and they've got like, it doesn't matter what you load them up with now, that you can get like cursed weapons.
Yeah.
And that's not listed here, so maybe it's a bit of blend of both.
That might just be basic weapon.
Yeah,
that's like saying I don't see a bolt gun on a Firstborn Space Marine. You know, it's just probably what they come with.
Yeah.
It's not on there either. Then on your second page. No.
Well, it's kind of hard to get too excited about that because I really can't be bothered to compare all the existing stuff.
Yeah.
When I know it's going to be changed anyway. It'll just be a case of going through the new codex and making sure that it is what they've actually put in the codex, not change things.
That makes sense.
I think Obliterators have come down in price a little bit. Interesting.
Yeah. Death Guard have done all right, I think. Everything's been shaved off here, there, and everywhere. Poxwalkers belong at 5 points. They're back to where they should be. Plague Marines, 21 points a model, and all their extras are free now, so that's nice. So with Armor of Contempt, they're not.
Makes them a lot more viable, doesn't it?
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, now get a nice melee squad together with some flails and big axes and some maces and things. Get them in a rhino and get them up the field, and it doesn't feel like a big waste when they come out. And now with the Armor of Contempt, they might actually hang around a bit longer. So that's something. Bear in mind, Dave. I might try.
I did.
I won't. Yeah. I know Mortarian's cheaper now as well by a few points. Not that I've got him yet. But yeah, that's he's come down a bit. And then basically all the demon engines have come down as well by about 5 or 10 points each as well. Which is nice for me. Get those Blight Haulers out there. And then the Terminators are slightly cheaper. I think they went down 5 points a piece. The Playcaster went down 5 points. I think that's pretty much it for me. So not too bad. Everyone's a little bit cheaper. Like I said, 750 point game. I managed to get an extra 70 points out of it thanks to this. Which got
just
me
grim.
It got me a character on the board that I wouldn't have been able to field otherwise. So yeah, I think we'll see, Dave, with our 2,000 point coming up, and then hopefully Shane will get one the week after.
Yep.
And I might be sitting here saying, no, I'm still terrible at this game. It didn't work, which is very likely. World Eaters, not too much for them. Thousand Suns, did you go look, Shane?
Yeah, no. So as I said, I watched a couple of different videos that just highlighted the big changes. I don't think the Thousand Suns really got any changes, which is fine. Like they've actually, I think of all of the different like factions, they've been probably the most consistent in terms of points because it is, you know, they are what they are. They're poised. They're priced pretty fairly, so it's fine. Like nothing that jumped out.
Fine. Necrons.
Yeah.
A lot of changes.
Loads. It's too much to even think about. Yeah. It's similar to your to the Death Guard change actually, because when I look back at one of the lists that I had in Battlescribe, oh no, it was the GW app. It was, you know, like an entire squad under what it had been before. So I added an entirely new troops choice in. So I've got a squad of Immortals in now on top of. I mean, it's only 5 models, but it is an entire extra unit, which I wouldn't have been able to add before.
What do you think about a Death Guard Necron battle for our next one then with the Maelstrom Award cards. No, you don't fancy that?
I do not know. No. Tempest, well, I might be able to be convinced. I've got to sit down and actually look properly at what I've got and the lists I can build.
Yeah.
I think there's so many different choices that you can pick from with Necrons. Like, I still probably don't have half the units that I probably want to have to fill the kind of list that I want to fill, even though I've got over 2,000 points worth, or at least I did have over 2,000 points worth. So I've got to think about it, but I don't want to buy any more Necrons until Imperium's done with. So
yeah, it makes sense.
I'm not going to buy anything else yet, and that kind of limits what I can actually run. So I'll have a think, but as I said, because of Armor of Contempt, it makes it quite tough. Maybe I might give the Thousand Suns a run out. I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. Does anyone give a shit about Tau? No one.
Nah.
No likes Tau.
No, Tau shit.
No. Did they get anything good?
No.
Did they get nerfed a bit?
Battle suits were up, didn't they?
Sorry?
Did they? Did battle suits go up?
Basically, the cost of a certain loadouts went from 5 points basic to 10 points, 15 points, 20 points, rather than 5, 10, 15.
Yeah.
Good.
So when you but when you add that up over a cost of the unit, you add in 25 points to a 5-man squad of battle suits. So it is frustrating. But again, I think it's necessary. So I'm not going to whinge too much.
What does that mean? I don't. So it's like 10, 15, 20.
So
what does that mean?
basically, the way that you can load out a lot of the battle suits is they can have 4-ish weapon choices.
Right.
So, for example, you choose one burst cannon, plasma cannon, fusion blast, plasma rifle, then it'll be 10 points each. But if you go, actually, I'm going to stick 3 burst cannons on one dude, I'm going to stick 3 things, and then it all adds up. So,
right, fine, okay, that makes sense.
But it means you can have some very, very punchy battle suits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything's sort of got a bit of an up. But again, I'm not going to complain too much. It is needed, especially I think the Storm Surge went up a lot. And the Hammerheads went up a fair bit as well. So
Storm Surge 400. What was he before? Do you know?
I think if I remember rightly, he's gone up by probably about 50-ish points. If I remember rightly, which I probably don't. So
it's quite a lot to go up.
Yeah. But again, he's been using a lot of lists and he's fucking horrible. So
fair enough. Tyranids, I don't know if
everything went up pretty much.
More expensive, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know of anything that actually dropped in price. Everything went up sort of in and around between sort of like 10 and 15%, pretty much across the board, apart from a couple of things. Like the Death Leaper took a massive points jump. I know he's not the most expensive, but I think he's 125 points. But I think he's 120. Yeah, he went up by like 25 points. So that was a big old jump for him.
Yeah.
And then when you combine that with not being able to have him as your warlord, if you get a Hive Tyrant on the table, it's it's just a sort of like because I was really, really close to getting one of him just to add him in. But I think he'll still do what he's there for, but he won't be as points effective.
All right, I've just had a quick look. Storm Surge went up 70 points.
Oh.
Yeah.
And there was much rejoicing.
I don't have one. And I won't have one for a little while. But yeah. So Ethereals went up 20 points. Commanders went up 10 points. Crisis suits went up 10 points. Plasma on crisis suits went up 5 points. Broadside went up 10 points. So yeah, it's
I like this.
It's not very nice, in all honesty. So I'm going to have to tweak some lists.
Yeah.
Well, considering my commander, with the loadout I've got, he's going to be 200 points now.
I mean, the good news is you need less models now to field a 2,000-point army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's a good point. Yeah.
The
opposite is true. The opposite is true of the Necrons. So, it all evens out. So
that is true. That's fair.
But if you look at it a different way, the money you're going to save on Tau that you was already going to spend on those and Necrons now can go to Blood Bowl.
Yeah. You know full well I'm going to fucking get into this.
There's never any points changes on Blood Bowl, Dave. It's not this good. No, I don't. Don't tell him that.
Don't tell him that yet. Let him buy it. Cool. Well, I think that's all the points. So then we get on to the chaos side of things.
I'm not fussed about this.
Listen here, I had to listen to you bang on about fucking Templars for ages. Like, oh, we're getting this, we're getting that. Yeah. We're not getting a boatload of new models that everyone wanted. But getting a load of cultist stuff will be. It's just the new rules. It is to bring them in line with their loyalist equivalent. That's all that I think most Chaos players wanted was get that second wound, get them in line with the Imperial side of stuff, and then let us see what other little toys and shenanigans we can get given in there. I hope, because I've not looked too much at the various rumor sites and stuff like that. So I don't know how good the sort of like the Legion specific stuff is. I would hope with them having not very much, because obviously with them taking the world leaders out, there's no Thousand Sons and then there's no Death Guard in there anymore. They would have given what was left in there some proper love, which is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, because you've still got the Emperor's Children in there. I think you've got the Red Corsairs, obviously the Black Legion. Who else is there? There's one more.
Iron Warriors?
But then the Word Bearers.
Yeah.
And you're right. The Iron, is it Iron Warriors or Iron Hand? Iron Warriors.
Iron Warriors. Night Lords.
Yes, they're in there as well. Yeah.
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 So they've kept the Corsairs in there as well, have they?
The Corsairs are still in there, and what you can run. So you can run Plague Marines, Rubric Marines, any of the ones that have their own codex. You can run them in a Chaos Space Marines list still, but I think you have to take them as elite, which doesn't make any sense to me because they're troops in the other. They fill up an elite slot.
You know, the old codexes, they were always elite choices anyway, unless you had a lord with the mark of whatever.
Oh, okay. Maybe that would
so
be it then. Yeah.
That's fine. I can live with that. Yeah. The only thing I know for certain is Noy Marines are dirty.
Yes.
Like proper dirty now. And yeah, you just don't want to come near them.
The
half range, extra damage. It's like, oh,
they'll come near you.
Different.
Appropriate for Slanesh. Yeah.
Different. They've got different frequencies as well. So they've got like anti-tank frequencies and
Blastmasters.
Yeah,
I had that. It's basically essentially a las cannon or a slightly lighter plasma cannon. So yeah, it's good times. I've got quite a few of them, but you can only take one Blastmaster in a bloody 10-man squad now.
In a squad.
And I think the way you used to be able to take them was at least 2. So I've built 3 10-man squads with 2 goddamn Blastmasters. And their icon used to do something different as well. Because their icon used to give them feel no pain, which it doesn't anymore. And I wouldn't take the icon now because it's just not as good.
Because I think
can't remember what it does.
The mark of Slanesh is fight first.
Yeah.
So that's I think their market, because as I said, I watched Battle Report the other day, and it was they had the mark of Slanesh on them, and it is fight first. So in any combat they'll fight first, obviously with the exception of if they've been charged.
Which is good for everything that's basically not them. They're not
Yeah.
a combat unit. So on your Terminators, your Raptors, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Always fighting first. Fantastic. But yeah, on them, it's sort of like a little bit of a.
I think
but-
I can't remember what the Khorne one is. I know the Zinch one, I think, is for the first damage or the first hit in a round of shooting or I think it might be shooting, but it could be combat as well. But for the first hit, it's classed as damage 0. So could be useful depending on what you're being hit with.
Yeah. So you're gonna shoot your guard sergeant's last pistol first, and then open up with the last cannons after.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not a difficult thing to get round.
Oh, and yeah, Nurgle's one is what is it? What's that vitality stratagem you always use?
Vitality.
I think it's that.
That's a psychic ability.
What does it do though?
Adds 1 to the strength and toughness.
Yeah, I think that's what the marker Nurgle does.
What? Just across the board?
To whatever unit. Yeah, I think it's something like that. It might just be to the toughness rather than the strength, but it's that.
Oh, that's a tough call then. Do you want Terminators with a marker Nurgle or Marcus Laneige?
Yeah, exactly.
So fighting first or ridiculously tough and hard to shift. So
yeah.
So what? Your Chaos Space Marines can get the marker Nurgle without being Death Guard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sneaky.
Anybody can get the marker Nurgle.
Hmm.
He's very giving with his gifts.
And every round they're on the table, we have to paint them a little bit greener.
No, fuck that. I'm not doing that then.
It's all right. I'll lend you my Death Guard spray.
It's just you turn. Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll accidentally find their way coming home with me.
I've got enough to spare.
Fair enough.
How will we were king of the castle?
Yeah.
You got enough to start your own shop, to be honest.
A second-hand shop, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything sealed anymore. No, I don't. Apart from those 2 boxes of Turnip Warriors, I can see. Yeah.
You just rip it open as it comes through the door. Just fucking.
Well, I went through a spell a while ago of buying stuff at Games Workshop, waiting a little while, and then trading it in for something different.
Right.
And then I literally just rolling it over and over and over. I never actually buying anything new, never doing anything new with it. So I got to the point of going, right, fuck it. If it's out of the cellophane, I can't take it back. So I basically opened everything that I had. Yeah. And built most of the stuff, but yeah, I just haven't got that much stuff that's not open anymore. And I will get round to painting the Tyranids at some point.
Lies.
Yeah, of course.
Well, look, I did the contrast on the body of so much stuff that it just broke me, and then it just went, because yeah, contrast, easy way to paint. Not when you're painting like 60 odd models in one sitting.
Yeah,
it just broke me. So yeah. But Blood Bowl, yeah.
Blood Bowl, yeah. Cool. Right. Well, I think we've talked about points and things till we've all lost our mind. So, is there anything else that's come out, or anything else anyone wants to bring up before we all go to bed?
I've actually started playing Battle Sector on the PS4. PS5.
How's that? Is it good?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. That's Blood Angels versus Tyranids.
Yeah.
Is that a turn-based one?
Yeah. It's good fun. Yeah, I like it.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, worth a look if you've got the time to do it. Like, as I said, it's what I distracted myself away from the rubrics with. I was like, I'm not painting the fucking rubrics. I'm going to play a game on the PS4, and I had a go at Battle Sector, and it's good. It's good fun.
Is it fairly cheap or is it expensive?
I think it's about 25 quid at the moment.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
It's like a Blood Bowl team, man.
This is true. It was just before payday, and I still had some money in my bank account, so I was like,
"What?" And you thought, "I can't be having that.
Yeah,
I need to be broke before payday."
Exactly. So that was it, and it's like, right, off we go.
Well, I got the trial for Shooter's Blood and Teeth, but I never got around to playing it. So I need to see if that's any good. That's the orc, just shooter,
Run and gun. Yeah.
That was sexy. I did like the look of that though when it was advertised before.
Yeah, I mean it's very Blood Angel-y. Like,
yeah,
you got to put up with that. But otherwise, it's all right.
Yeah, it's a very sparkly game. Sparkly vampires.
I unfortunately bought Elden Ring.
Oh, that's a time suck.
It's not really.
No?
I played it for about an hour. Got my ass whooped so badly and so repeatedly that it turned it off. And went, "Fuck it, I'm not playing that anymore."
Well, that's what you've got to, that's it. It's the Souls, what's it called? Like the Souls light stuff. You've got to just grind your way and learn. And I'm like, no, it's not for me.
Even the basic shit's kicking my ass. Ridiculous. Well, I might look into that because there used to be like a really, really old 40k turn-based game. It might even be a redo of that. I can't remember the name of it. It was Marines Against Chaos. I'm talking like late 90s, and it was really, really good. So I might have to dip back into the
Have a
game.
look.
I'd like a 40k version of Age of Empires. That'd be good. Just build little civilization.
So you got the normal Warhammer Total War.
Total War, yeah.
Which apparently is really good. But I don't see them being able to do it on 40k.
Yeah, there's always a way.
There was, like, I literally saw it. There's something called Relics or something like that is available. I literally saw an article, 10 best 40k games. And there was one on there that literally said, it's like Civilization, but just focused on the war.
Oh.
So I'll see if I can find it. I'll ping you the link, John.
Just killing civilization rather than making one. I like that. Cool. Well, it's been good. We've had a long break, but I'm glad we got back to recording. So unless there's any last words from anybody, we can wrap it up.
Last words.
What?
No last words.
Oh, no, well, that's last words. So check us out, Google Iron and Ceramite, and we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you're listening, come over to YouTube. If you're watching, then thank you very much. Please do subscribe and like the channel. And if you'd rather listen to us on the go, then anywhere you get your podcasts, that's where we are. There's Twitch and Patreon. Go subscribe there, and something might happen one day. If you need to get any Blood Bowl teams or paint or anything like that, then Element Games is where to go. Use our link, get some money off, and then again, like I said before, when we do some giveaways, that's how we fund those. And then combat cards, Glenn, unless you've taken it back up in the last 2 hours while we've been talking, I think past week. Sorry, past week. Have you had a miraculous return, or is Shane still king of the hill?
I believe Shane's still king.
Well,
and will be for this season. I don't think I'll get him off the top in a week.
It's only a couple of days left.
Oh yeah, we started. Yeah. No, you'll win. You'll win this one.
Right. There's a couple of days to take Shane down. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us. Exterminatus.
As always, we would like to thank you for listening to our Iron and Ceramite podcast. If you liked us, then you can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and any other good podcast services. Just remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Nice.
No,
He's looking
No.
at Blood Bowl. He's looking at it.
I'm saying that's one of the teams that I have in the starter box that I have no interest in.
Oh, that's the
You can-
human team, isn't it?
You can have them. 'Cause
Save me from myself.
I've given stuff to other people, and I've been very generous. And I've not given you anything, Dave.
Griff Overwald. There.
Oh, no, he's not getting the star players.
Fair
Fuck
enough.
giving him the star players. I might give him the ogre if he's nice.
Is that Morgan
Nice.
Forg or is that a different ogre?
No, that's just a standard.
Oh,
ogre.
okay, just an ogre. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we've gone Blood Bowl again.
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
Dave's committed to Blood
Iron
Bowl.
and Ceramite, a Blood Bowl podcast.
It's in the Warhammer universe. We don't specify.
Just change all our little icons down the bottom to what
To-
Blood Bowl team we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to have a side project to distract you.
So it's coming on blurry.
Got to put it in front of your
go.
face.
That's
Yeah,
lame.
that's it.
There we go. Get that in there.
Nice. Right, let's go.